Welcome to the Tribe Talk Show, live from Atlanta. On this show, you get real conversations, inspiring stories, entertainment, information that empowers, real talk. A safe space to learn and grow. Real sisterhood. Let's talk. Let's grow. Let's thrive together. Join the tribe. And now, here are your hosts, Tendai and Grace.
Hi, Tribe, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Tribe Talk Show. First of all, we just wanted to say thank you so much for all the views. We really appreciate you, your support. We are really feeling loved, right?
We are.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the trust is built.
Mhm.
Like we're getting a lot of letters.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And today we have a really important topic that we're discussing. We have Bisola, who is going to be talking us all about life insurance, a topic that I know you're very passionate about, right?
Yes, I am. But unfortunately, it's also a topic that doesn't get talked about a lot, that we should be having around dinner table.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Yeah.
I think it links into the way Africans view death, right?
Yes.
Death is almost like a taboo subject.
Yeah.
So anything to do with death, we really avoid
We
talking
avoid
about it.
it.
It's like it's not important. I mean, we know it's important, but we just don't want to address the
Because we
issue.
feel like if we talk about it, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna
But guess
happen.
what?
It
Either
will
we
still
talk about
happen.
it or not, it will happen. And it's
Exactly.
happening way too often.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
that this topic is really necessary.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it, and every household should be talking about it. You know, one thing about death is you never think it will happen to you.
Yeah.
I mean, our prayers is always that we grow old and gray,
Mhm.
right? And then we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But oftentimes now, we've seen a lot of younger people die.
Of course.
And
of
this is
course.
something that you and I have experienced, recently.
Yeah.
So yes, that is something that we need to normalize
Mm.
talking about. It's always going to be sad,
Yeah.
but it put things in perspective for families. You understand? When it was a conversation that I never knew could be a norm until I lost my brother. And I had to now call my children around the table, and I'm like, guess what? Uncle died.
Yeah.
So that tells us that people do die young, and death is actually real.
Yes.
So now, when somebody dies, what do we do? How do we
Yes.
process it? How do we move forward? What do you understand? So this is a conversation that we should
We should be
start
having.
and
And
normalize it.
and it's so sad because I know someone that passed away in the UK, and they passed away almost 2 months ago. But right now, they're trying to raise money to take the body back to Zimbabwe. And as you know, repatriation a body, it's not cheap.
It is not.
And it looks like the guy didn't have a will, so the family are kind of like fighting over his body. There are some people that want him to be buried in Zimbabwe. There are some people that want him to be buried in the UK so he can be close to his children. And these are all things that he could set up. He could have set up.
when
And
it was
I've seen a lot of people's legacy being tainted by those GoFundMe that are created after you die. And because you just look like you're not an organized person when those things happen.
Yeah. And often, like you said, we don't talk about death enough, right? And we all know that that's the only thing that's actually certain
Yes.
in this life. That is the one thing that you can guarantee that is going to happen. And a lot of people, they can afford it. They're comfortable enough to put things in place, to put a will in place, to put a life insurance in place. But they don't do it because they feel like there's time. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, there's still time. I'm still so young.
I'm still so young.
Or, you understand? But this really causes chaos in families. And, it's bad enough that they have to grieve. Now, talking about the financial aspects, the trauma, the chaos, the lack of agreement.
Yes,
it gets too much. It gets too much.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Which is why I think at this, whilst we are, because I think a lot of us, we didn't really know these things. But even when I think about it, my parents had some sort of insurance because when they passed away, we had to go to them, and that made the burial process so seamless for us. My mom died in South Africa, so trying to get a body to fly the body back home in Zimbabwe would have costed a lot. And all the time, it happens at the worst moment.
Yep.
Most of the time, when you go through these things, you're going through a really bad patch in your life. In my culture, they always say you are told that death is coming by the misfortune that the family will have. So a lot of time it'll come when you least expect it and you're not prepared. And I know that, it's good to have these GoFundMe, but there are other options that you can take. If you can pay $50, $100 here, and prepare for your future and have your children set up. And it's not just about death, right? It's about setting up your children, because that's one thing. I watched this guy, I was listening to a podcast where they were saying Black people are the only people that don't realize that life insurance is like creating generational wealth for your children. A lot of other communities, they have life insurance and they use it when they pass away. $1 million is passed on to them. I wish my children had $1 million. I wish my parents had set up like $1 million for me. I would have retired by now. But we don't.
Like you said, there's really nothing wrong with GoFundMe, but the truth of the matter is that I see is like it always taints the image of the family. That's number one. Then number two, it's not convenient. This is like putting people in situations that they don't want to be. Like you had the opportunity to set something up while you're alive. You didn't do it. Now I have to contribute towards your funeral. And it puts pressure on people, the community, and all that. Talking about building wealth with life insurance. Yes, all those other communities, they have the good understanding of what this is, and they are taking advantage of it because, like I said, the only thing that is guaranteed in life is that we're all going to die. So why don't you use that opportunity to set up something for your beneficiaries, to set up for the next generation? Because you can pay a little now and know that we don't always have the opportunity to build wealth because bills and circumstances and all that. But one thing that you can know for sure is that you can die rich. And how you can guarantee that is by setting up a life insurance. Because we all know we're going to die. So why don't I make the next generation better? Why don't I give them the opportunity that I might not have had? Just like you and I. We know for sure that our parents could have done it. They didn't do it. But now the first thing that we sure know is like, okay, we want to leave our children, whether young or old, in a better position, when we do die. So I'm glad we're talking about this, and I hope that the community are ready to receive this. It's about time, and especially African community. It's about time we remove the taboo from death and life insurance and start seeing it from a different light. That's why I'm really excited that we're going to be joined by Abisola right after we come back from the break. He's going to share more light. He's going to share our wisdom with us, and there's also a catch to it. There are certain life insurance that you even get to enjoy while you are here, while you are alive.
Guys, she used to sell life insurance, so you've been educating me on other things that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, and there was so much that I wish I actually knew back then. Maybe I would have knocked on more doors. Maybe I would have been able to push people, because when I tell you that 15 years ago, I mean, these things were like peanuts. Like you could get a huge life insurance for nothing, for little to nothing.
And
but
the older you get, the more expensive it gets, right?
Yes. So there are different types of life insurance that we're going to dive into. If we don't have enough time today, we're going to bring that back, because this is an important topic.
Yes.
And I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Yeah. So guys, we'll be right back, and we're going to be discussing life insurance with Abisola Jimo-Kuku.
Welcome back, Tribe. We are joined by our beautiful Abisola. Now, she's no stranger to the show. This is our very own. We're just so honored to have an amazing lady with so many talents and skills.
Jack of all trades.
I know. I'm telling you, like, she's really, literally packed. Thank you so much for joining us, and you look beautiful.
Yeah. You too. So since you are here on a different capacity, do you mind just telling our audience what you do, especially with your insurance company?
Hello, everyone, and ladies look so lovely.
Thanks
Thank
to
you.
you.
My name is my name is Abisola Jimo-Kuku, also BB. So today I'm going to be introducing myself as a protection expert. I own a life insurance agency. I'm a life insurance agent, and I'm happy to be here. I've been doing this for about 3 years now. It's not even a business I thought that I'll be doing. I found myself doing it, and I've enjoyed it so far, and I've not even looked back because it's educating. It's like it has a lot that it came with, but I'm happy to be doing this, and I'm happy to share my knowledge with the tribe.
Yeah, thank you. We were just before you came on, we were just talking about, how loved ones will die and then people will start creating GoFundMe,
Yeah.
and it was just one of those topics that is we really need to be talking about in our community,
Yeah.
Now, why life insurance? Why is this so important for people to have life insurance?
So life insurance is very crucial. It's very important to have. It's not something we should play with or just, push to the side because especially where we're from as Africans, we don't like to talk about it. It's not something, it- and which I understand, but it's not something we grew up learning and talking about
Yeah.
because they think life insurance has to do with death, but it's actually very important for you to have it because anything can happen. Life will definitely happen. Everybody's gonna
Any
go,
point
but
in
you,
time.
what preparation do you have? Not just to cover the cost, but what are you leaving behind? Because it's also a way to leave a legacy behind and not put the burden on the people coming behind you, especially the family. So it is very important to have life insurance.
Yeah, I just wanted you to explain life insurance for someone that is hearing it for the first time. What exactly is life insurance and how does it work?
So life insurance, but as I like to call it, like I said, I'm a protection expert. It's something that you need to protect yourself. So when people think about life insurance, they think it's, it's when you die, or some even think it's going to cause death if you have it, especially Africans. But it's a type of protection that once you pass away, it's something to create wealth automatically. It's going to cover costs. It's a way to, like I said, leave a legacy behind for the kids or wealth. So it's very important to have. And then there's different types. I know it's very overwhelming. People get confused about it, but life insurance it's basically two types. You have the whole life and the term life. So the term life is like the regular one that everybody knows about. It's very affordable and cheap, but you have to understand
So
the type.
explain the term life. What is
Exactly.
term life?
You have to understand it that term, as the name is termed,
Just for a
for a
period of
period
time.
of time. So it can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But once that term comes
To
to
an
an
end, and you're
end
still alive.
and God still saves your life, that's the end of the policy. And the sad truth about it is by the time you want to renew, it's going to be times 3 of what you were paying.
So whatever you have paid in during the term, say if I live until 80,
Yeah.
whatever I've paid until I get to 80, I lose.
You lose it to the insurance company, and that's why the insurance company always get richer.
Yeah.
Because nothing happened to you, and then you're still healthy, you're still, which as it is right now, people are actually going to live long because everybody's prioritizing fitness. So that's the end if it's a term life insurance. But whole life covers you for your whole life.
For your whole
So
life.
if you live up to 200 years, definitely it still covers you till that.
I had another question on that. What about if you get sick or if you get injured? Does your life insurance contribute to your wellness if you can't work anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, when you go to Starbucks and you order coffee, and then there's different ingredients, there's different options, putting the cherry on top. So that's how life insurance is. There are things called riders. So you can get the regular coverage, but the riders is like in case something happens, this is the option. It has to cover me in case there's an accident, because not all life insurance is going to pay out depending on the cost of the debt. So you have to first of all understand what you want and how much coverage you want and how much comprehensive you want it to be. So it's really understanding the options and your goal and what you actually want to use the life insurance.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's so many aspects to it. Like it's, you can use it as protection.
Oh yeah,
You use
absolutely.
it as wealth building.
Yes.
You understand? And
Yes.
like you said, you can also use it for other, like accidents.
Oh yeah.
Like
So I'm
short-term disability.
Yes.
So there are so many layers to it. But the most important thing is to know what you, first of all, understand, just like you answered,
exactly.
what life insurance is.
Exactly.
Why do you need it?
Exactly.
And what do you need it for?
So I'll give like two scenarios. But first of all, like she said, it's life insurance is a way to create wealth, regardless. Like you're going to create wealth with life insurance, and then as it is now, which years ago, if you've heard about the Rockefeller families, the American traditional family, this is how they created wealth. And especially we Africans, we didn't know that wealth can be created like that, and generationally it continues, because right from birth, there are kids that are insured and goes as far as you hear how they call them trust babies. So that's like another topic for the day of how you can use life insurance. So it helps you create wealth, and that's the whole life. So there's a particular whole life insurance that it covers you when you have critical illness or terminal illness. It covers you for accidental. It covers you for so many things. You can even pull out of it and use it for investments, even real estate and stuff like that. So life insurance is a tool you want to have in your pocket. Like, it's really important. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So the scenario I was going to give is, say for example, you're 25-year-old or 30-year-old. Another thing is, it's better to get it very early because it's more affordable and you have more years to cover for accumulation and for so many things you can do. So for a 30-year-old that no kids, not married, if you have a whole life coverage covering you for your whole year, the premium that you're paying every month is actually going to contribute to something called layman, like a savings inside the policy. So each premium that you pay covers for the cost of the coverage. So depending on the coverage amount, 500,000, a million, 250,000, and then another portion of it is going towards the savings bucket in that policy that you can actually use for so many things for yourself. So the other scenario is if you have someone older, say for example in their 70s, 80s, a type of life insurance is a final expense, which covers for burial expenses and all of that. You know how it is where people pass away and then they want to take them back to Africa. It's a lot of money. So yeah, life insurance is a tool you want to have. It's very important.
We'll hold that thought. We're going to be right back to continue this conversation after the break.
Welcome back, Tribe. We're still with Miss Bisola here, discussing the topic of life insurance, a very important topic. And let me tell you, one episode isn't going to be enough to pack all this information. So we're going to have her back probably a couple more times. But today, let's dive into as much as we can. Now, my question is life insurance just for people with children?
Oh, no, absolutely. I would say this, if you're single and you're in your early 20s, it's better to have it, especially a whole life insurance, because you can use it literally for so many things. And it's also going to cover, so you won't have to worry of if it comes to term, say, for example, 20, 30 years later. So it's good for you to have it. And it's not just for people with kids, no. But it's just advisable that get it as early as possible.
There's a misconception. People, if you say that it's good to have a life insurance young because it's cheaper, the importance of it, even having it for children. Now, in our community, this will sound like a taboo. And this is why I'm glad that we're doing this. You'll be like, why do you need to buy life insurance for children? tell our tribe
See,
why it is so important
I've
to
had-
not just have for you,
but for your
but for your
children.
children as
Because to
well.
be honest, when I got my insurance, when they mentioned children, I said no, 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 no.
Yep.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking,
Why would I?
why would I want my child to die before me? I don't want that negativity. So
Exactly.
yeah.
I'm actually going to give you some scenarios of my clients, definitely Africans. And if I mention it, like, God forbid, how can I have insurance
even
on
me,
my
I'm
kids?
that
God
parent.
forbid.
I'm that parent. I don't want to hear
And then,
death of my
yeah, but the
children.
thing is, it's mostly ignorance. Like, they're not educated that life insurance is not that you're getting it for your kids. And see, death comes to everybody. You can, it's not something
don't
you
know when and
exactly,
how.
but we just pray that our children lives long. So I'm sure people have heard about trust fund babies. That's very typical about, the white community, not the African American communities. And then you begin to wonder, how easy is it for them to have this generational wealth?
Well.
So it's very simple. What they do is, I'm telling you, right from birth, they get something for their kids because it's as cheap as $20-$30. McDonald's, toys, and all that. They have that set aside. So for the number of years that child will grow up, 18, 16, there's been some accumulation in that policy.
You have no idea.
It is so sweet for them to just buy a brand new car for that child. So it's there are scenarios where I have clients that they're older, right? They're in their 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. There are some policies that is not advisable to get because it's very expensive. And one thing about me is I'm very particular about the client's goal and their budget because not everybody can afford life insurance. So I'd recommend that rather than taking a whole life for yourself, take it on top of your child. You have the full control because you're the owner and you're the payee, that you're the one paying into the policy. Now, it will be a perfect gift if you do that. And then once they grow older and they start to work, you've already locked in that rate
for them for life.
them. Where
And then
it's
they can
not
take it over.
exactly. Even if it increases, it's just going to be few dollars that it won't be too much for them to keep going. And then you transfer the ownership. And then inside the policy, like I said, there's that cash accumulation that it is growing on a very between 8%, 12% index rate. So that's where that and one thing about it is you absolutely have the control of how much you want to contribute into the policy. Compared to, say, for example, a 529 plan or some other, plans that. So life insurance is, even the federal government doesn't play with life insurance because they know how it can generate wealth. Yes.
There's something that Grace and I were talking about, because for those that don't know, Grace used to be an insurance, used to sell insurance in the past. And you mentioned something that I liked, that sounded so sweet to my ears yesterday, where you said you can actually get an insurance where you can borrow from it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you discuss that one? Because I think that's my favorite.
That is being your own bank. I'm going to tell you today, there's something called BOLI, BOLI. Bank, it's a type of life insurance that banks have. All these banks that you put your money into, they have life insurance that is locked in and is generating wealth for them. And so they use that to, that's why, you put money in your savings account, it's not growing and all that. So boycott the banks and have this policy for yourself where you can. That's why I was talking about using life insurance for real estate investments and other investments.
But how does it work?
So the way that it works is, for example, depending on the coverage. So say, for example, for a 30-year-old, if you take up a coverage of $500,000, there's a cost to that. Now, the insurance company is going to tell you, okay, to have the coverage of $500,000, you can pay maybe about $100. This is just a typical example, right? So that's how much it's going to cost you to have 500,000 coverage. So now, in the whole life policy, there's something called indexes. There's a particular type called index universal life insurance. That's the one that grows on a particular index. So indexes, in the stock market, there's different kinds, like the S&P, right? So a portion of that $100 is going towards the cost of insurance, and then a portion of it is going towards that index. And that's where that growth
is going to
the
happen.
gains that you have. So now for a 30-year-old, if you're making a lot of money and you be like, okay, you know what, I can still afford a couple more. Now, if you put in more than what the insurance company is asking you to pay, it's beneficial to the client, because that way the extra you're putting is going towards that savings part.
And it's growing
And it's
steadily.
growing on an 8% because if you look at the S&P over the years, it has always been stable between 7-8%.
8%.
Exactly. And that's one thing about indexes. You're locked in that rate. So whatever gains you have, you can lose it on, like, say for example, your 401k and things like that.
And that accumulation value is the fund that you can access. And you
While
can
you're
access
alive.
that while you're alive.
Exactly.
You can borrow against it. And when we talk about borrow, it's not the borrow that you borrow from bank and you have to pay back
on
most
a loan.
of the time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where being your own bank is. It's your policy. But you know what? Hey, you know what? I just want to borrow this, and you don't even have to pay back.
And you don't have to.
You don't
That's
have
the
to
beauty
pay
of
back.
it.
Exactly.
And when we talk about children, I want to point this out before we wrap up, because our time is not on our side. You start them early at a young age. You buy a policy for them, you put more money towards their savings that is growing steadily, and then when it's time for them to go to college, guess what? You can go ahead and
college
withdraw
fund
from it and send them to college. Now, remember, if you invest into college fund, regularly there are so many limitations. You can only use it towards college. This one, they can use it towards house buying. If they decide that they don't want to go to college, or if they want to
start a business.
Start a business. This is what we look for when we invest in children life insurance. It's not to get the death benefit. God forbid, we don't want our children to die before us, but we are creating wealth for them while they can still afford it.
Exactly.
A $500 policy for a young child can be as low as $30-40. For you and I, it will be as much as $500, $700. You see that?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then steadily that is going to accumulate over the years, and then you transfer it to them, and that bingo. You create wealth for them while you're still alive.
That's really good. And Bisola, like we said, we're gonna definitely have you back.
Yes.
We just wanted you to tell our viewers, where can they reach you if they want to learn more?
So I always share a lot of tips and tricks on my Instagram page, the CEO Abisola JK, and on my website, where you can shoot me an email or book an appointment, www.beautifullifecoverage.com, where I can look at your goal, because it's important that depending on what you want to use the life insurance for, and also your budget. So that's very important.
Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this knowledge. Like we said, we definitely want you back.
Oh, yeah.
Viewers, that's all we had time for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.